This is Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia, where we answer your questions about what it's like to live, work, and travel in Russia. Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about flower etiquette in Russia. Flowers play a big part in Russian women's lives. I'm married to a Russian, you're married to a Russian, Matt. Can you explain some of the nuances that foreigners should keep in mind when gifting flowers and the occasions they should give flowers?
Sure. So I think the number one rule in Russia with flowers is you could never give too many. Would you agree with that?
Right.
I know that's what my wife would say.
Or too frequently.
Right. You could never give them too frequently. I think that comes as kind of a surprise sometimes to Americans who, let's say, as a general rule, we kind of reserve flowers for special occasions. Whereas flowers in Russia, I don't know if this is from the Soviet times or what, but flowers are probably the most popular gift. Actually, I would say gifting in general is much more popular in Russia. And again, I'm not talking here about giving someone, a brand new MacBook or an iPad or an iPhone. When I say gifting, I mean when you go to someone's house to visit, you typically bring a small gift. If you're going to visit a family, flowers, it's always a great gift to take. You could take a bottle of wine. But in general, you can find flowers anywhere in Russia, actually. There are places to buy them on every street corner. They're quite inexpensive. But in general, I guess the etiquette is kind of, I wouldn't say difficult to grasp, but it's quite different than in the US. One of the things that I wouldn't say struggle with, because I knew this was an issue, but the number of flowers that you give someone typically corresponds to the event. So unless you're going to a funeral, you always give someone an odd number of flowers. An even number of flowers is reserved for funerals. So never give a Russian woman 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I don't know about other countries of the world, but 12 flowers is very, very common in the United States. If you go to the store, you can only buy 12 or 24 roses. There have been many times where in the US I've bought 12 roses and taken one out of the box and thrown it away, because if I bring that home, my wife's gonna say, "What are you doing?" So I think that's one of the biggest rules to keep in mind. If you're giving flowers to a Russian woman, make sure you always give them an odd number.
I've been in the situation where I'm in the flower shop getting flowers, and for whatever occasion, a popular one is International Women's Day, March 8th.
Oh, you can't forget that day.
Birthdays, and that's the most important. If you forget that, you're definitely in trouble, sleeping on the couch. So I've been in the shops, and I'll grab an even number, and the shopkeeper will say, "Are you sure? Are you really sure?" Because they'll see that it's an even number, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, odd number, okay." So what situations have you been in?
Well, I've been in, I will never forget, I was living in St. Petersburg at the time. I had been with my now wife, I don't know, maybe a couple months, maybe even a couple weeks, I don't remember exactly. But I was like, well, okay, it's part of the culture to give flowers more often. So I went to the little flower shop down the street from where I lived, and I said, "Can I have 6 of the..." So in Russia, they have different grades of roses. So actually in the United States, usually when you get them, they're quite small. But in Russia, you can get these big ones. So I went in there and I said, "Can I get 6 of those big ones?" And then she said, "6? Are you sure?" And I, being kind of dumb, I thought she didn't understand what I was saying in Russian. At the time, I spoke Russian, but not as well as I do today. So I thought she was kind of commenting on my poor level of Russian, that she didn't understand the number. I said, "Yes, 6, I want 6." And she kept asking, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I insisted at least 3 times, "Yes, just sell me 6 flowers." And then I took them home. I gave them to my wife, and she just was like, "What? Why?"
Dude, there's something wrong.
Made a comment "Do you want me to die?" And I was extremely confused that it didn't hit me. I knew about the rule. It just, I don't know, it just slipped my mind at the time. So that's kind of the...
Yeah, it definitely takes a couple times. Yeah. Another funny thing is just different. So when you go over to somebody's house, you're invited as a guest. Typically, you bring a present. Usually, if it's around tea time or dinner, take something to eat. But it's customary to give, the wife or the mother flowers, especially if it's a special occasion. And as special occasions, I would even say, like, besides birthdays and things like that, that's a given, right? You know, in the US it's the same. But
Right.
occasions that might be different to us in the US is, like, if there's an achievement that one of the children have, like maybe they won an award or something like that, or they graduated from preschool or school or high school, like any graduation, you would give the flowers to the mother, kind of as her, you know, recognizing her contribution to her, you know, child's achievement. So that's an important one. Let's see.
Another thing, Marcus, well, did you ever notice that it seems like they have some holiday for everything in Russia? Just the other day, my wife, she asked me, did you congratulate my mom for the Day of Librarians in Russia?
Yeah.
So my wife's mother is a librarian at a school, and I guess there was some holiday that was like Librarians Day in Russia. They have these holidays. If you Google like holidays in Russia, you can find a calendar, and there's sometimes multiple holidays per day, and they have all these like Accountants Day or Administrative Professionals Day, and lots of people take these serious.
Yeah, especially if you are, well, in your case, she's the librarian, so she would say that. But when I was teaching English on Teachers Day, my students would give me gifts. They're like, "Happy Teachers Day." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Or happy, what is the September 1st, right, when school starts, is the Day of Knowledge. You know, there are quite a few where if you're not prepared, then, and you're in a situation where you know that person very well, or fairly well, and you didn't prepare something, it's like, wait, you didn't congratulate me, or they'll mention it.
Right. Well, I've had my wife say to me once before, she said, this was just a few weeks ago, where are my flowers to celebrate the first day of spring? I was like, what? The first day of spring? Who gives flowers on the first day of spring? I mean, she was kind of playing with me, right? But at the same time, I think she was serious, because it's definitely a thing in Russia.
There's a portion of seriousness in her joke, as they say in Russian, doля правды.
Right.
В шутке.
В каждой шутке, yeah. Well, I think the most important thing is that if you think that a gift should be given, flowers are always a great idea in Russia for women. I think if you started giving flowers to men, they might find it strange. But I think what I said at the beginning of the video is the most important advice. You can never give them too often, and not even numbers. I don't want to say that Russian women expect you to give flowers every week. I'm not saying that at all. But I think that they are very much appreciated. I would actually say that Russian women appreciate flowers much more so than most American women, in my experience. And I'm not even speaking about relationships. I mean, just in general, like if you buy flowers for somebody at work or something here in the US, I mean, everybody says thank you, but when you give flowers in Russia, people's faces light up.
That reminds me, actually, I was buying flowers for Women's Day. No, maybe it was Mother's Day. And I was walking down the street back to our apartment. This was in Moscow. And I realized that there was an even number of flowers. So I took one out. And I was like, what am I going to do? And there was an older lady kind of sitting on a bench. And I just walked up to her with one flower and I said, this is for you. Happy Mother's Day, or Happy Women's Day. I can't remember which. And she kind of lit up. And so if you have an extra flower, you can make somebody's day and get down to an odd number.
Right. So we hope that was helpful. If you have some funny stories about flowers in Russia, let us know in the comments, and we will see you in another video.